So tonight what I'm doing is I am using the blue and the green and the white. So what I thought we might do is play with the idea that we're doing blue, blue-green, and then have it fade to green. So we'll start with the green at the top. And again, you're doing this really thick. If you can see the white, then fine, let it dry and then go back over it. I'm going to include this handle in the ombre, so I'm going to have it kind of match what's going on with the side. So I've got a stripe of green there. I like that. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scoop on a little bit of green. And I did 3 scoops of green, so I'm just going to do 1 scoop of blue. And again, it's just an experiment. You really don't know what kind of blue-green you're going to get until after it comes back. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it all the way around. If you want it to be a hard edge, move on, mix the next step, and then don't worry about it. But if you want it to kind of fade, then your brush is kind of used up. You don't have anything on it, or wipe it off. Go around and kind of smear those edges and see how that's soft and that's a hard line. So you've got a soft line, you've got a hard line. And all that took was just taking a dry brush and running it along the edge and kind of really just kind of almost like you're just cleaning your brush or something. You're just wiping it off and you get this super thin layer on top of the green. So it's going to kind of give this like smoky effect where you're going to see like a layer of that on top. Look, I missed a spot. Now I'm going to do more green. One, two, three. That made it around pretty good. So I'm going to do 4 just to be safe. 3 big scoops like that. That wasn't what I had it on. 3 big scoops like that. Kind of like 2 tablespoons full. Made it all the way around before, so it should make it all the way around again. And I keep going into my blue without washing my brush off. So there is just a little bit of green in there. You can see a little spot of green in there. But I'm not really worried about it because when I stir that up, it's not really going to affect the color of the blue. So I'm going to get 2.5 scoops of the blue, and I'm going to mix it with the green. And now we're going to do our next round. I'm going to go around, and the fun part is, like, until I go and fire this, we have no idea what color this is really going to be. It looks like a blue-gray right now, but we don't know. Because this is kind of a bright blue and a bright green when they fire, like almost a John Deere green. And it is like a muted blue, but it's not like primary blue so much. But I'm going around again. So right here, you can see if I leave it, it's going to be a hard edge. And if I go over top of it with my brush with nothing on it, it's going to soften that up. So it's going to fade. So it's up to you if you want to take and fade that edge. Just kind of put a little fade to it. One of my favorite mugs I've made is like this. So that's why I kind of wanted to do this. I actually made more than what I needed. So I'm just going to add more blue to it. Two more scoops. And I'm going to stir that. And look, this kind of takes over that whole bottom of that handle, so we're going to go for it. We're just going to cover this whole bottom. Make sure you're double checking the edges of your handle. Right here on this edge right here, it's real easy to have that go on thin because the pressure you're giving the brush, you can't really drag it the same way. and leave behind a big, thick coat. So just be sure you go back after it's dry and kind of look and see, does that look lighter or thinner than other spots or not? And that dried really quick, so I'm going to go back around and make sure that I'm hitting all of it. So now we can dry off the brush a little bit. I had a little bit too much on my brush still to go back around, and I'm going to drag that brush across there and soften those edges. Now what about the whole bottom just being the straight up blue? I'm holding up this mug for you to see while I'm working, but when you get to this point, there's really not much left to hold on to. So you can just keep it on your paper plate and turn it here, so you don't have to touch it anymore. Get clear down to the bottom. I turn it until I see that I've kind of got some sort of an even coat. And then when my brush runs out, I'm going to run it along that edge. Watch that edge turn from a hard edge, see how hard that edge is, to a soft edge. Just like that. So that's going to give you that ombre fade where you go all across the edge there. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because that's going to need to dry for a minute. In my fast forward, I did the inside, I did it all blue. I went down in, did the bottom, made sure it was nice and thick, and then I kind of brushed it up the sides and just really made sure that the whole inside was covered. And you know, just take 2 or 3 looks at it and make sure that it's all covered. If it's something that you want to put in the dishwasher, that you want to be able to throw in the sink or whatever. But you know, if you're just using it for looks and you just want to, you know, kind of set it there and use it as a pencil holder, it's no big deal what you do. It's just kind of fun to see what happens, and it's kind of a fun project for you. So what I was thinking was, we haven't used the white yet, and we do have a lot of green and blue left. So we could do, you know, a lighter green, we could do a lighter blue, we could do a lighter, or we could just do straight up white. So we can rinse out our brush. I've got a cup of water here. The only thing about using water to rinse your brush, and again, if you're working with kids and you guys are just having this as a fun thing, don't get too concerned about it. But just kind of have them tap that brush onto paper towel. I have like 3 paper towels here, and just kind of have them wipe it on the paper towel a little bit, because that formula is kind of how it needs to be. But if it gets watered down a little bit and it's not quite as high gloss, they still made it and you'll still love it, so it doesn't really matter at that point. So let's go ahead and let's just see. We have kind of a flat brush, so the end of that brush, if you kind of squish that brush out and you just dip that straight up and down into the paint, you could make a really cool zigzag line around the bottom of your mug. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to take that white, tap that on the end, maybe tap it 2 times, 2 or 3, make a nice line, and then I'm going to continue that, just making like little triangles. And I'm going to work my way all the way around this mug. Just tap, tap, tap. And then if you think, oh, that wasn't very thick. And remember, this is supposed to look like it's handmade, homemade item. So don't get too picky about how thick or thin it is. I kind of like seeing the variations and the variety. So got a nice end there. It's working out pretty cute. I'm just letting them go. I'm relaxing, just letting it be. I think it's fun. Just let it go up and down, be whatever. It don't have to be the same. Oh, I'm right there. So this last little zigzag is going to be a little one. I think I'll just do 2. Oh, 2.5. And then aim for bottom of the next one. So look, it's not perfect. They aren't exactly the same the whole way around, but that's the cool part of making it yourself and just enjoying making something. Use the end of my brush, the other end of my brush, and just barely kissing the surface of the glaze, just right there at the top. I don't know, you could do a dot at the top of every single zig, or you could do one in between every single one. I think I like the idea of doing one at the top. And the dot gets smaller as you go because it's a rounded surface instead of like the eraser that I showed in the other video. So if I do 1, 2, 3 going up, it gets smaller automatically. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to reload 1, 2, 3 on the top, just going straight up on every single peak. So that's really fun. I love that. It makes me want to do that like all the way to the top, all the way around. But we do have a lot of straight up green left, and the green's at the top. So maybe we could put some green down on top of the blue. We don't know what blue-green this is going to be yet. So maybe we go around, no big deal to wipe off the end of your brush. Maybe we go around and we just put a green dot somewhere in between. Take some green out. Put it on here. And I'm going to do less green than white. Do a lot more white. So again, I'm just kind of patting the plate, pulling it all towards the middle. And I spin the brush as I go around. Pull it all towards the middle, and then stir, 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 and then do it again. Pull it back towards the middle. That's how you can keep a pile. It did take me forever to learn how to do that, so if yours is spread all over the plate, just try to scrape it back into one spot. Oh, I can't wait to see what color green this ends up being when it comes. I'm going to use the end of my brush. It's kind of from stirring. If you're using the brush that came with the kit, instead of if you had another brush, or if you have like a flat end of something, that could work better to stamp. Stamping is always a little bit easier than actually trying to paint a straight line. So I did get that smoothed out. It'll take a little bit of work to flatten out your brush after you've been stirring, but if you've got a nice flat edge there and you've kind of wiped off the edges, maybe we just do work our way around. We've got a guide because we've got that bump in the middle of the mug, so it's not like we're going to get off track because we do have a guide in that bump. So we've gone from green to blue-green to blue. We've softened the edges with our dry brush. We've put white on top of the blue. I could do a second coat on that. I can see through a few spots, but if I want it to kind of look like it's fading in and out, maybe I'll leave it. We put green and white together and made these centerpieces with that. I think I might think of some sort of a pattern for blue around the top. I might come up with something else to stamp on there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe make X's all the way around with blue on top, or just more dots. And I've got to do the bottom. Don't forget to do the bottom. So that'll be the last thing I do. And if you could, if you are able to do that, I would like you to put your initials in the bottom so that I am positive that I put this back in the right bag for when you pick it up. Thank you so much.